I was losing money for a year. If you work with them, they will do everything for you.
When did it start to profit?
Like, what are you doing? And then they would go. 2 weeks we were discussing. And they're like, some of them are sleeping.
Hi guys, today is an unusual video and I have a special guest for you. His name is Chihoon.
Hi guys, I'm Chihoon. I'm a human. Nice to meet you.
So you're from South Korea?
I'm from South Korea, yes.
Yeah. And how come you're in Kazakhstan?
Oh, because exotic becomes erotic.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, because I grew up in South Korea, very, like pro-America, pro-Western kind of education, culture, background. And when I first came here to travel in Central Asia, in Kyrgyzstan, everything was very new, very exotic for me. Like, it's like the empty canvas, like, ooh, wow. So I want to come here because, and then my friend said, you sure you want to go? What are you going to do? Well, at least, okay, if I fail, I may learn something, at least abbreviate or some different languages and culture. So that's why I'm here.
So you did finish your high school in South Korea and then bachelor's, or?
I finished my bachelor's in South Korea and then I went to the States, US for my master's.
Okay. And then you went to Kyrgyzstan, or how did?
Then, okay, so like long story short, I left Korea about more than 11 years ago, and I went to United States. My goal is always to travel around the world and live different countries. So for me, traveling is like living. So not going to like famous like tour spots, but actually live and meet people, because I love people. I think every human being has their own unique beauty. And it's very interesting to see the people in a different context, different culture, different background, different languages. So I left Korea, but my initial goal is to stay in the United States for about 4 years, and then maybe 2 years in different continents, and then I would decide where I would live. That was my plan. But after my master, I decided to become an artist, and then I lived in New York. And in between, I lived in Buenos Aires, and then after that, I lived in Paris a little bit.
Oh, so you've seen.
So like I've seen, and then
the life in different countries.
Yes, and then I was like, oh, where? I have never been. It was like, oh, Central Asia. Well, that's very
pointed on the map.
Right, that was very interesting. That's right between in between Korea and Europe. I was like, this part, it's not familiar to me. This former Soviet Union country used to be in a nomadic world, and they speak Russian, but also each country, they have their own language like Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Turkmen, Tajik. I was like, wow, that's very interesting to me. So I was like, I want to visit there. I want to go see, the life. That's why I came here.
So you didn't know anyone in Kyrgyzstan, or?
I have my uncle who has a little business there, but he doesn't live there. So he just had his business there. That's why. But I think, first of all, that's why I got to know Kyrgyzstan. Before I had no idea, and then, oh, maybe one day you should go to Kyrgyzstan. It's a beautiful country. It's like, where is the Kyrgyzstan? I mean, like everyone else, it's like like Afghanistan or like Pakistan. So like a lot of people have their the stereotype of the Stan countries. So it might be a desert, or it might be like a Mongolia, but I didn't know that it's like so many trees, like like beautiful mountains,
Yeah.
lots of waters here.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what. And then one day I just came to visit. To travel in Kyrgyzstan. So the first I came with my uncle.
Oh, okay. So he showed you around.
He showed me around, but he wanted to show me like, all the famous tour destinations. But as soon as I came here, I was like, this is so interesting. Look at the building. Oh, look at the
the regular life.
Yeah, and then I wanted to go to the bazaar. I wanted to, I wanted to see the market. I wanted to see where people live, where people eat.
Yeah.
Like where
local places.
Yeah, local places. It's that's I don't know. I'm more interested in seeing those things, experiencing, the people's life than visiting, you know, different famous tourist spots.
What was your first impression of Central Asia?
It was very great because I arrived here in November, middle of November, and then I was wearing the really like orange, bright, like winter jacket.
Yeah.
I arrived here. It seems like I'm the only one who's wearing that color. Everyone is like a gray, brown, and then I soon realized that makes sense because you know it's.
Rainy.
Yeah, it's rainy, it's snowy.
Yeah.
Some parts are not paved and covered, so
Yeah.
like dusty. But it's good. You can touch this, you know, actual soil. If you live in Seoul, you don't get to step on this, you know, the nature. the nature, yes. So yeah, but that it was. But I realized that there are lots of trees, but since it's winter time, there's no leaves.
Yeah.
So the first impression is kind of like more like I see more black and white kind of thing, but in a very good way because everything was new. For me, I like new things. So when I first came here, it was like everything was very new and different from my experience, my previous experience. So actually I was more excited to see. And then I'm Korean, there's a Korean community here, which I mean, they are ethnic Koreans, but they speak different languages. They have Korean last name, but Russian first name. They speak only Russian. The funny thing is, it's harder for them to learn Korean than Kazakh or Kyrgyz. The reason because Korean, the grammar is very similar and almost same as Kazakh or Kyrgyz. But the Russian is very different, right? But then these Koreans only speak Russian, so it's harder for them to learn actually Korean than the local people.
So are there many people from South Korea here, or not that many?
I mean, Koreans are everywhere. I met Koreans in Iceland.
Oh yeah.
So, they're everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's say like a guy from South Korea wants to come here. What is he gonna do?
Oh, that's always good. South Korea is a crazy competition. You know, I can give you perfect. I don't know. Korea, okay, very competitive. A lot of young people, they work super hard. They study really hard. And then if you want to be a certain, like how to say, position, or let's say you want to be like a marketing specialist, and then you know where to go, you know which school you need to go, you know which path you need to go. It's clear, but just too many people are in there. So you have to compete. But here, if you want to be, let's say, marketing specialist, maybe it's not really, you know, which school I need to go. It's like in Korea, there's like streets there, the directions are there. But here is like it's like I don't know, it's wild. You if you create, that becomes the road, yes, and then that's why it can be a blue ocean for many of the Koreans. And then maybe your skill over there might not be too special, but if you here, maybe you can share your skills because it's new. Like for example, you can introduce Korean bakery here. Who has a Korean bakery? No. Maybe some Korean, the modern cuisine, or like a design. Korean minimalistic design is very popular now. And then you can introduce these kind of things to this market. And that's the blue ocean. And you know, there's some nice coffee shops here. And then parks, you can play tennis over there. You can play football, you can do exercise. And here, like, it's almost like, you know, you feel like you're in Europe. People sitting on the terrace, and this, and then you can drink nice coffee, nice breakfast, nice foods, and that's what I love.
That's a nice place right there.
Oh yes, this is my favorite coffee shop in Almaty.
Yeah,
I'm just.
Well,
Okay.
it's actually Chihoon's place. It's actually his second business in coffee, right? Or
Yeah,
third?
yeah.
I'm
This is
like
my-
lost. You should explain.
So this is my coffee shop. It's called Flask. You know the science lab, the Flask? The reason I named it is because I want to create more high quality, experimental coffee. I want to promote really third wave coffee culture in Central Asia. That's why I create this business here. I had another restaurant called Chicken Star. It's chicken business, but I love coffee. I'm a like coffee freak, coffee geek. So I decided to open like a coffee shop where you can have a community, little community. You come, you drink coffee, you work, you like discuss, you write something. I love when I was in New York, coffee shop was my favorite place to go because you get to know people, you meet a lot of creative people. I mean, coffee shop is basically probably the only place where everyone comes. Like, it's not like certain specific food, but if you don't drink coffee, you drink lemonade or tea. Just where people meet, I think. So
the entire Central Asia is like an empty canvas, right?
yeah, it was like Almaty is a bit more developed.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was about to ask, how different is Kazakhstan?
It's very different.
Yeah.
It's similar. There's some similar
a lot
part.
of similarities, yeah.
But that's basically that's how I felt it. And that's why I decided to open the premium chicken restaurant there.
What was the visa thing? How did you? Did you need a visa?
Yes, if you are, it depends on where you're coming from. If you're Koreans or Americans, you don't need there's a visa free for 60 days. And then you cross the border, you come back, it's automatically extended.
It
renews, yeah. But if you want to work, you need a business visa.
Yeah.
Which you can only get 1 year at a time. So you can get 1 year visa, and then by the end of your visa you need to apply 1 more year. So like this in Kyrgyzstan.
What about Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan is the same.
Okay.
But here you can apply for the permanent resident easily. In Kyrgyzstan it's not. Kyrgyzstan you have to live there for 5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but here you can apply for the PR, permanent residence card.
How soon?
Right after you arrive here, yeah.
Does it cost anything?
I heard it. I don't have it.
But we'll get there.
I think it's around. I don't know. It's like $800. I don't know.
Okay.
The fees are. I don't know. Probably cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I heard that it used to be very difficult, but now it's very easy. And then the process is simpler. I remember my friend who were trying to get the permanent resident for like it took 2 years. But I haven't that was like 5 years ago. But now I have friends, maybe like 2 months, 3 months, something like this.
Oh wow, I had no idea. Because a lot of people want to come here, invest, move, start a business.
Yes, the best way is to get the permanent residence.
Yeah.
But I don't have it. The only rule is you have to stay here 180 days out of 360 days.
Oh.
Yes.
So how did you come up with the Chicken Star idea first? That was the first business you opened here, right?
Right.
In Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, in Kyrgyzstan and here too. So we're tasting the breakfast. It's not our menu, but we're just testing. I'm not a chef, but I love food. So I don't know about food. I just love it. And then in Korea, I was thinking the best way for me is to introduce some Korean foods into the local market. But Korean food, the challenge is that the ingredients, it's very specific. Some of the so it's really hard to find the right ingredients outside of Korea. So I was looking for the items that I can easily find. And then that's why I was surprised that Kyrgyzstan is the biggest chicken supplier back in the days.
Oh.
So chicken, and then Korean chicken, it's becoming really popular. And this is for your tea. Becoming really, and then one for I give you some tea. This is like also Central Asian.
Yeah, favorite.
It's like ablipicha. Sea plankton. It's in Korea. The nickname is vitamin fruit. It's really expensive. It's hard to find. Here, everywhere, and it's really cheap. I love it. I always drink this tea. Korean chicken is becoming really popular worldwide, and because of the sauce. So I realized that this can be. The menu is very simple. can be very easy. So and then there are about more than 50. Okay, in the all of the world, all McDonald's, it's like maybe 35,000 McDonald's in all over the world. Korean fried chicken restaurant, only in South Korea, it's more than 50,000. So which means one chicken restaurant for 1,000 people in Korea. So which means the information about the chicken is everywhere, and you can easily get those information. You don't have to go to culinary school. So, and all those, the information and things. So I researched it. I had a lab in South Korea for 3 months.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, and
You're testing.
Different ingredients from Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah.
With the ingredient, because I want it to be local. I didn't want to import anything from Korea. I want it to be as much as possible to be local, so that way you can support the local economy more also, and also it's fresh, maybe cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's much more sustainable. So how can I create a Korean restaurant with local ingredients? That was my goal, and then
So when you started, how difficult was it? Like, I don't know, because it's like very difficult to start, but then once you know the process, it's easy to scale.
You have more challenges because you are not in your country. But I guess I think a business is always challenging. There are always problems, but
Every day.
yes, every day. If you love solving problems, then you will enjoy. But anyway, you will have different problems in Korea or in United States. You have different problems that you don't have to face in other countries. In that sense, yes. The first of all, the language barriers was very difficult because I couldn't understand what I could. So, since the Russian such an unfamiliar language to me, when I first arrived here, when someone say Kyrgyz or Russian, I couldn't recognize the differences.
Oh, wow.
To me, the sound same, Kyrgyz and Russian,
Wow.
or Kazakh and Russian. So I had to ask my translator or manager and say, is it Kyrgyz or is it Kazakh? It was like, for me, memorizing Pajausta is like probably like 2 months. Yeah. For me, like, Bipyoshka Pajausta sound same when I was a kid. So like, that's the biggest challenge, and also the different culture. Because I'm from Korea. In Korea, everything is really fast. So when you do something, certain works expect to be done maybe by today, but here it would take maybe a week, sometimes more. But that's just because there's more competition. Here it's like less competitive, so and everything's going slower than maybe your country. So, but once you adjust, everything is fine, and I think it's quite. And then a lot of documentation to open your business, but I highly recommend to work with a lawyer. There's some good lawyers here. If you work with them, they will do everything for you. So then you just wait, prepare some documents for them. And then that's easier. But of course, you don't know the culture. For example, when I first opened, I have 6 menus on my menu.
Oh,
Only
wow.
6. Because in Korea, if you have more than maybe, I don't know, if you have a lot of menu, people think that you're not specialized in anything. So you have to be very specific. So it's like, okay, let's be Korean style. And people come, you have soup,
You have lagma.
you have gukshi, ramen, like, because you have to have a lot of things. And I realized that here in Korea, people go for coffee, this cafe,
Specific
yeah,
place.
you go for pasta for there, you go for dessert for another space, you go for drinks another. But here in Kyrgyzstan, you sit down, you want to do everything here. And I realized that, so I started expanding my menu. So I learned every day. I think it's, for me, it's a very practical like MBA. It was like I learned everything from the beginning. by experience. That was the hard part. Yes.
So when you started, I guess you got a translator, and then what are some first people you started working with? Was it like hiring, I don't know, an HR person, a finance person?
That's a very interesting. I'm very enthusiastic, so it's so funny, and it was my first business in my life. I was
gonna ask.
Yeah, first business in a totally like unfamiliar context.
Wow.
And
You're brave.
I think I was a bit crazy because, but I think that was also for me. It's actually safer because okay, if I failed, I could still learn something. In Korea, if I failed, it's maybe failure. I don't know.
You spend a lot of money, right?
Yeah,
Here it
it's
would be cheaper.
a lot cheaper, a lot more expensive. Like,
You have more to lose.
Yes, and it's quicker to lose. Here, for example, in Bishkek, I was losing money for a year, and then I was still, how would I say, I was believing in it, and then people, for example, in Korea, if they don't like it, they never come back. I mean, because a lot of other options. But here, they don't like it, they recommend you. That's very good.
So what would you suggest? Learning Russian, learning Kazakh, not learning any languages? Like, what's the situation?
I think if you speak English, you can do anything here, actually. But of course,
to an extent.
Yeah, but I highly recommend to learn either Russian or Kazakh. But Russian is like, because I mean, Almaty is very like diverse, ethnically diverse. So if you will get more advantages if you speak Russian, because everyone speaks Russian almost in Almaty.
In Almaty.
Yeah, if you go to outside of city, maybe they only speak Kazakh. But if you speak Kazakh, you will have more Kazakh friends, I would say. And then they will like,
They'll love you more.
They love you more. But you know, like, interesting thing is some of the Kazakh, they don't speak Kazakh here too, right?
Yeah.
So like they I don't know, do you speak Kazakh?
I do, but I'm not like that
fluent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Russian would be more, how to say?
Universal?
Yeah. And
or,
then
practical?
more, yeah, useful, I would
Useful,
say.
yeah.
In terms of living, doing business, or working. But Kazakh is also, I think, I mean, at least learn some basic languages, like how are you?
Yeah.
How
Basic
much
phrases.
is this?
Yeah.
Numbers and these
Yeah.
things. They would impress people. Yeah.
Okay. So why are we here? What's the...
This is the Baisitava Street. It's one of my favorite, kind of like street park in the middle, like in the center. This is a very green. I grew up in I grew up in a rural area in South Korea, but since university I have been living in the big cities like Seoul, and then like skyscrapers and concrete. So you don't get to see a lot of trees, but that's it. Love here because it feels like my childhood. Lots of trees and very clean, and not many people. Like if we were in Korea, like I'm sure there's full of people right now. Yeah, so that's why it's very relaxing. I love it. And then this is probably like this one, and there Pampilova Street, but there are I like there too, but it's more crowded. It's more people there. That's why I like this street more, because it's more quiet. When you have you want to do some meditation, if you want to, I don't know, have some quiet time, then you just walk this street. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you like about Almaty? Maybe a few
Very
things.
clean. Very not crowded. and the streets are great. It's easy to find,
Yeah,
even though you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know Russian.
Oh yeah.
And lots of parks, and people are nice, more slow. They live slow. For example, if it's in New York, if it's standing like this,
Yeah.
and a lot of people would come and like, "What are you doing?" And then they would go. So, for example, which is I experienced. I'm not lying because I lived in New York. So like, well, I'm just kidding. They're nice people too. But yeah, like it's to me, the people are more relaxed here. Yeah, not in Korea. It's like it's tension. Because I understand because the society moves really fast and it's very competitive. But and then you can experience a lot of cultural, historical things. They have museums, galleries, and also very interesting. If you're interested in like architecture, you have some Soviet Union buildings and some German architect. You see some built by Japanese. We just talked about it, and this kind of thing is very interesting too. And the mountains. Oh yes, you can see the mountains from your window, and that's it's so beautiful. It's like so refreshing, like.
It's like 20 minutes away.
Yes, you live in the center. You see the Alps.
So your typical day when you run a business. I guess we can come back to Kyrgyzstan too, because I want to see the progression.
The challenges. Yes, and then I was really, it was my first business, and I was so enthusiastic. It's so funny. I'm opening a like small chicken restaurant in Kyrgyzstan. I researched a lot about the Silicon Valley companies. So I researched about Netflix, I researched the different companies, and then I prepared 47 pages of presentation before I meet my first team.
Oh wow.
In Kyrgyzstan. It was now I'm thinking it's crazy. So 47 pages slides of the presentation.
Yeah.
And then I hired them for 2 weeks. I didn't teach them how to serve whatever. We just sat on the table, discuss about what's the problem of current restaurant business in Kyrgyzstan, and then why I ask a lot of questions. Why? Like this is my favorite question. I always say, instead of saying do this, like why I felt that when I was young, if I don't understand why I have to do this, if I don't get persuaded, if I don't know the reason, I wouldn't do it. Because for me, it's like I hate doing something that I don't know why I need to do this. So I was trying to explain why we need to provide a good service, why we needed to solve the problems. Like these things are like 2 weeks we're discussing, and they're like some of them sleeping, and then except for one, none of them are speaking English. So I have a translator. It's like if I'm thinking about that scene, it was crazy. I was so enthusiastic. Yeah, it's like it was. I think it was crazy. I was crazy a little bit, and then I was like trying to do like we close once a month for the team every month, and then we would go to the mountains. We had to have a training, and then I spent a lot of time on training. Like every Sunday we have like training, breakfast meetings, and also I would bring the Korean teacher, English teacher to the company to teach them English and Korean. So we have English-speaking guest, Korean-speaking guest. So because my main focus was to help them to grow. So by the time they leave the company, I want them to get a better job. Has been always in my philosophy in my HR, because I believe that if they are growing every day, they can contribute more to the company too. So and because of that, I was very enthusiastic. But the funny thing is that a lot of the first team, they worked for a long time. Then they're all doing they're studying in Europe, and working in Korea and China. They did my masters, and I have one interesting story. Is the one girl was like I would say English, she would reply to me in Russian, and then she's a Chinese major student, so she wanted to go to China, and then I said, "Oh, you need to learn English too. Like I wanted to learn English, and she's like, at the beginning, I was like, oh, but I'm Chinese major. But no, you need to speak English. This will change. And then I like literally forced her to learn English, and then later she went to China and then to like study exchange student. And she said I can only go for 6 months because my visa only for 6 months as a exchange student. But I want to stay there longer. But I need a like visa then or something like this. And then later after 2 months, she texts me and say, hey, by the way, I'm good. But you know, I got a part-time job, so I can get some extra money. But do you know what I'm doing? I was like, what? I'm teaching English to the kids. I was like, yeah. So and then later she was really good, and then the company really liked her, and really good feedback from the clients. So they decide to hire her officially.
Oh, wow.
So they provide her visa and then prepare, and then now she studied a master program, and then now she's working there. So it's like I like love seeing people growing. It's fantastic because I mean their success is my success too. So yeah, that's the like Kyrgyz story. And then after that, it took about 2.5 years to build a team. So now it's run by itself. I don't really do anything. They're very responsible. Their managers, the team, the whole team, they're really working for the projects. And
When did it start to profit?
about like
After a year?
after a year and a half. Yes.
Pretty,
I was
pretty typical, I guess, right?
yeah. It's yeah, I had to be very patient. Yeah.
Would you say it was cheaper to start there? But I'm wondering, like, if I were coming to Kazakhstan or Kyrgyzstan, how much money would I need to start? It's like,
It depends.
yeah, I would,
It depends on the location. Roughly, let's say, if you open, it very
Depends on the
depends.
business,
Yes,
yeah.
it very depends. But my recommendation, if you have, let's say, if your budget is let's say $50,000, I recommend only spend 50% of it to open the restaurant and save it in the cash, because you will have a lot of unexpected problems and issues. Then you can only solve it when you have cash. If you don't have, you can. Maybe like, because you know what I'm saying is this, always the backup cash is very useful, and these $25,000 will be very helpful. For example, if you have, well, if like for example, I know some people open a bar with like $8,000. I know some people open a coffee shop with like $10,000. It depends where the location. The rents are very
how creative you get.
yeah. For example, I don't want to spend a lot of money on renovation. This is I would spend. You know, traditionally here, people really care about like fancy luxury, like so they spend a lot of money on the interior design, and then buy $2,000 used coffee machine, and they say, "Oh, we're a coffee shop." I would do opposite. I would not spend money on interior design, but I would buy maybe $10,000 coffee machine. That's what I would do. But which means there's a lot of. But I think to open a let's say coffee shop or small restaurant business, it's between maybe 15-20K till maybe 50, even 100. Even you can spend like $500,000 to open a restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know,
The limit is
the limit is the sky. Yes.
Okay,
But
so,
my recommendation is not to open big at the beginning, especially if you're bringing something new to this market. Always better to start small. The reason I'm telling, because I had experience. I opened a big place here, 300 square meters, over 3,000 square feet. And then, yes,
Yeah.
then I had to close and I moved here.
But that was because of the pandemic. Right?
Yes.
Not just, yeah. So what about taxes? You said Kazakhstan has like 10% tax?
If you are, it depends on which company. Yeah, if it's a foreign company, if you're like stockholder thing, it's like you have the Kazakhstan has I think is the lowest tax for the foreign investors. Uzbekistan is a bit more expensive. Russia is more expensive. Here is a flat 10%. Yeah. Yeah.
So you opened the Chicken Star. When did you open the Flask one there?
Flask I opened about 3 years ago.
How many years into you being in Kyrgyzstan? Like 2?
After 2 years, I opened Flask. Yeah. So I love coffee, so I opened a coffee shop, small coffee shop in American University of Central Asia, and then I start promoting the coffee that I want to drink. So which is specialty coffee culture, which is even new in the United States, even new in Europe. It's like so I want to bring that advanced coffee culture here, and
how you opened it there.
yes, I want to more interactive, experimental, high quality coffee culture where people drink really good coffee, and also like it's a community. Like I said, like our bar is really low, and then the bar is very simple, so there's no barrier between you and the barista. So I used to have the previous spot, I have a long 4-meter bar where you can always talk to your barista, ask a question about coffee. You come alone and you talk to your barista. They always welcome you, and also you can meet other guests and then become friends. That's the concept. I want to bring this third wave coffee culture from maybe New York, Australia, to here to create a young community. Yeah.
And then once you opened that, what happened from there?
From there, now it's closed because of the university is closed for the pandemic. It was very good because we had not only serving coffee, but I had a different events. Like we had a lunch talk. So the basic motto is inspiration is everywhere. It was very successful. It was very good. I enjoyed it so much. And also I want to bring something new thing to the students. I want to encourage the students to be more, global. Do some proper market research about the product or about the business idea that you want to do, and then who are your target people, and then are they enough? Your target audience.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might open and then really cool idea, people will love it, but that number will be very small. But if you do something interesting and creative or new, I think it's a very good opportunity to, and then you can introduce. It might take longer time. You might not get the reaction right away, like in other market. Yeah.
So there was like a number of waves of currency devaluation. Was that good for you? Was that like advantages or?
For foreign investors, there's pros and cons. For example, if the devaluation means that it's cheaper to invest, right? Like
because you have more in dollars. Let's say
dollar has more bigger values, and then you can do a little bit more than you used to. But also, it's actually devaluation is at the end of the day, it's not good for any because
people don't have money.
Not only that, if you think about it, here there's no a lot of items, a lot of products are imported. So let's say in Korea, when Korean won is devaluated, but still everything produced in Korea. So if you have dollars, you can buy everything cheaper now. But here, it devaluated, certain product, maybe vegetables, some things are cheaper. But if you want to buy computers or the equipment or like cars and everything, that is imported. So that price will go up too. So it's harder. Maybe for you as an investor, it might be not that, not you get really affected, but for local people, it's a big minus. For example, like because you earn in tenge and you have to spend in tenge and everything, the inflation is big. Yeah. So when devaluation, it's maybe if you're investing from outside, it's probably cheaper.
You also said you had to adjust to Kazakh food like preferences.
Yeah.
People like more salty, you said.
Yes, if you are interested in the restaurant business, you definitely need to go all the restaurants here and then compare to what you are offering. So maybe your food might be too sweet. You might, for them. For you, it's okay. Yeah. So you have to really study the appetite and adjust to your recipe for the local market. For example, I mean, if you go to McDonald's in South Korea, you have a kimchi burger. Yeah? There should be shashlik burger here, for example.
Exactly.
Like, this is...
There's Kazan burger. It's like
yes, exactly. That's
similar.
when you find
they
here.
finally adjusted.
Yes.
Okay, so what are some favorites in Kazakh food, I guess? Do you like it? Is it...
I love soups here. I think it's amazing. Like the borscht. In the summertime, akroshka. If you go to Karakol, they have like ashlan food. And any soup they make is amazing. I don't know why. Soup is amazing. And what else?
Do you eat the meat though? Like, do you eat that much meat?
I don't eat much red meat,
Yeah.
but I still eat meat. But meats are amazing.
No.
Oh, it's cheap.
Yeah.
Yes, the meats are good. If you, I used to cook a lot at home in Bishkek with buying the best part. Like I love filet mignon.
Yeah.
And then I bought the meat and the steak at home. And it's amazing. Yeah.
What about Korean barbecue?
Korean barbecue. There are some places here, but
It's not the same, right?
not the same. Yeah.
I think I've tried. What are some traditions maybe in Kazakhstan that you like or you were shocked about?
I love here people are celebrating a lot of holidays. Like I've never experienced any like I was like this is like probably like all the expats that will come, they will get shocked how many holidays do they have, you know? Like especially in the March and May, you see like holidays in a row.
Half a month, you're like
Yes, I mean that's fantastic. But like I was always surprised and impressed. And then people like cook together. For example, like they cook plov and share with their neighbors, and cook lagman. I love lagman, by the way. And like I think I love it. I love the Central Asian culture. There's very community oriented, like family oriented. It's very communal. I don't know, like very social.
Yeah.
So it's supporting and sharing, like helping and
communal mindset.
yes, this is you don't see in other countries, for example. Yeah.
So you said if someone was coming to visit Kazakhstan, what are some places you would suggest them to see in Almaty?
In Almaty, okay. In Almaty, definitely is mountains around here, maybe lakes around here. It's not exactly in Almaty, but you can drive like 1 hour. You can go to the like beautiful lakes, mountains, and I highly recommend you to visit market. The bazaar here they call it bazaar. Zhiliony Bazaar and Avtovka, or even like Barahoyka. It's very interesting. You can find the old Soviet Union vintage stuff and like
for cheap.
Yeah, it's really cheap, and then it definitely. And then in the city center, you just like going to different parks like Gorky Park, and then there's some Prudential Park down there. You go there, like it's very calm and nice. The weather is amazing. The one thing, okay, weather is amazing here, guys. So summertime, the temperature go up to maybe you see just to see the temperature, maybe 39, 36 is so hot. No, here is very dry. Unlike in Korea, unlike in like New York or Boston in the United States, it's very dry. So in the morning and the evening, it's actually you don't get sweaty here.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere in the daytime you are in the direct sun. If you're in the shadow, you're fine. Winter is cold, but it's not windy, which means if you wear warm clothes, Not Astana.
Not
or-
Astana, no.
Not Astana. Yes.
Let's talk about apartments, like renting. How was it for you? Do you think investing in property here is a good idea? And maybe roughly some prices?
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Let's say renting first.
Renting in the center, it depends on how big you're single or you have family. Let's say here, one difference is between in other countries. If it's 2 bedroom and 1 living room, it's a 2-bedroom apartment. But here, 3-room apartment. They don't say
Same,
3
yeah.
bedroom, right? It's a very interesting that I found that here,
yeah.
only here.
Yeah.
So don't get how to say
Fooled, yeah.
fooled or surprised. Yes, and
What's-
studio is 1-room apartment.
What's roughly the price?
The price is if it's 2 bedroom, which is 3-room apartment here, I would say in tenge in the center around 200,000 tenge around, which means about $500.
What about buying?
Buying, it's a good question. Buying, it's maybe compared to the rent. For example, in the United States, let's say if you
It's like 1 year rent.
if your rent is $1,000 per month, maybe your value of apartments maybe 100,000. It's like 100 times bigger. Here is a little bit more. So based on my research, if it's a center 2-bedroom apartment, it depends about like minimum 30 million to 40
Tenge.
million tenge, not dollars.
Yeah, I was like,
Yes, which
How
is
much-
about
yeah.
$70 to $100,000
yeah.
to buy.
Do you think it's worth it?
If you live here long, if
For
you
long.
planning to live here long and you don't have to work, you don't want to renovate your space, you want to have your own space, I
Wait.
think it's okay. But the rent is cheap.
Oh,
Yeah, if you're American, they get used to live in the rent,
In
right?
rentals,
So it's a
yeah.
rental. So maybe you're just happy paying really little rent. But like it depends where you're coming from. If you're from like Wisconsin, where the rent is super cheap, then it
Yeah,
might be
yeah.
for you a bit expensive. But
but as an investment, I guess, would that be worth it or not really?
if you invest to give a rent, maybe not a good timing now, because here in Almaty, almost everybody has their home.
No one rents.
No one rents. There's only
Very
expats
few people,
and
yeah.
even some students. Yeah. So, but if you for yourself, yes, it's good investment. I think it's a still developing country. I think the price is only gonna go up slowly, though. Yeah.
So, did you guys have 2 weddings as it is popular in Kazakhstan, or was it like more Korean
Only
style?
in Korea. Only in
Oh.
Korea. We had a wedding here. We were planning to have actually the party this year, but we
Oh.
couldn't do it. But yes.
Because of the pandemic.
Yeah. So we had a wedding, proper wedding in Korea.
But it was all like Korean style, not any Kazakh traditions.
No, Korean style, like 30 minutes.
Okay.
By the way, if you're invited to the wedding here, don't be there on time. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, but that's true.
Oh, many times, like 5-6 times. Sometimes I arrived before bride and grooms. They said 5 p.m. I went there at 5 p.m. They were still setting up the like tables and this. Where am I? But it goes up to like midnight, 1 a.m. So like it's really long wedding. But like compared to Koreans,
Exactly.
Korean wedding is like 1 hour maximum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything
We
is
could celebrate
fast.
for days. Oh,
Everything,
wow.
yeah.
After parties.
After parties with close friends. But the wedding ceremony itself is just like 30-minute ceremony and 30-minute eating maybe. That's it.
What about
Maximum, like including eating, yeah, maximum 2 hours. But ceremony itself, it's like 30 to maximum 1 hour.
So let's go back to expat moving to Kazakhstan. How much money do you think a month a person needs to live comfortably in Almaty?
Oh wow, you'll be surprised. I think say maybe $1,500 as an expat because you want to go to let's say
1,500.
1,500.
Yeah.
But you can be cheaper. Like I'm saying, it can be.
What's the lowest?
Besides rent,
Yeah.
rent, it can be 300.
Oh.
Yeah, $10 a day, which
So
is
very cheap, guys.
very cheap, very cheap. It can be even lower. It can be even lower. Yeah, like this. Okay, I read an article days ago where they're saying most expensive cities in the world for expats to live safely, not just expensive, for live safely. First country was Angola, which is because it's a dangerous country.
Oh.
But then second is like Switzerland, like New York, Seoul, like it's there. And then at the end of the article, they're saying, let's talk about where's the cheapest city for expats to live safely. Number 2 was Bishkek.
Ah.
I think it's Almaty is number 5 or something, which means cheap and safe.
Exactly.
You can save a lot of money.
Exactly. So what are some tips and warnings for foreigners coming here, culturally wise, I don't know, like moving wise?
Well, if you just move here, and then you still work for your company in like United States, like a lot of engineers do that, then it's fine. It's very good. You can just enjoy your best life ever.
You don't need much preparation.
But if you are here for your business, for your work, especially for business, I recommend to take it easy, not to be in a hurry, to research more about the markets and then get to know the right people.
Mm-hmm.
But like, don't too much. You shouldn't be too much dependent on someone.
Mm-hmm.
I think you yourself need to really study about the different laws and rules, and then the cultures. If you know, and then if you ask somebody to help, it's very different. If you know, I think it's much better. And then meet someone like these guys, and then yes, there are. I mean, any market has challenges. Like there, maybe you can face some fraud, and then some, but it's not just here; it's everywhere. You go if you're a foreigner, like you get fooled.
People might take advantage of it.
Taking out. So be careful about that in any foreign market, not just here, even in Korea, even in the United States. But like, find the right. If you want to partner, find the right partner, find the right people, get to know them, and
how? How do you find people?
Come to my restaurant, and we have a lot of good locals. They come here all the time. So
we like live here, literally.
Literally, actually, in Bishkek, a lot of expats when they come. Oh, so might be expat community on Facebook. In Bishkek, they have
there
a lot
is
of
actually a couple.
Yeah, here too. So your fellow expat can give you a really good advice, and then they can introduce some of the local friends that they have, who is really trustful, nice, and then that's actually really. You can contact me if you come here, and then I can introduce some good locals. Yes. I mean, think about it. Business is all about people,
Yeah.
It depends which people you have in your team, which partner you have. It's very important.
Like anywhere, right?
Anywhere in the world, yeah. So that's very similar. Even in your own country, it's also the same.
So what are your plans? Are you planning to stay here till?
So my plan is I want to continue to build my business. I have another project over there, a small coffee shop. But I want to really, my vision is to make the world more joyful than the day before. That's my ultimate vision all time. So I will continue to do. I will ask a question: if I have opportunity to expand, is it really for my vision? Can I achieve my missions and goals? If yes, then I will do it. If not, maybe not. So I will ask my vision if it's gonna fit in there or not. Because if yes, then I will enjoy. I will do my best. If not, it's gonna be hard for me to really focus. So my goal is to open a few more spots business-wise, coffee shop-wise.
In Kazakhstan or?
In Kazakhstan. And then maybe My goal is I want to go to Uzbekistan too, but my goal is to
market.
not me going, but I want to send my team maybe there.
Awesome.
In Bishkek, I have one example. Bishkek Flask, I have in AUCA one, the first Flask, I gave 50% share to my former staff, and she became my partner now. So she started when she was 19, she started as a assistant, wait staff,
Wow.
and became, and she was always willing to learn. She's very responsible. And then she became a supervisor, barman, head barman, assistant, then general manager, and then I offer her partnership. So she became my partner for Flask, AUCA in Bishkek. So
Was that the same for Chicken Star? Like, how were you able to keep it running by itself?
Chicken Star, it's for I'm always looking for good team, good leader. I think that's my main goal, to find a good local leader, which is potential local director, maybe potential local partner.
And then you give some shares.
Giving shares to, because I think that's the way to be. I think sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you plan to stay in Kazakhstan, or do you plan to go back?
I'm nomad,
eventually?
so
Okay.
but my family is here,
Okay.
so I will base.
You're basically local now, right?
Yes, I'll be. I think this is my base camp. I think, but I want to travel around the world. I want to go. Basically, this pandemic gave me like a record in my life. Since 2008 or 9, I think this has been the longest time I'm staying in one country. About 5 months. Because before, average every 3 months I was going somewhere. I was, but this is longest time.
They locked you here.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, COVID blue, be careful, but you can always enjoy.
When do you think people would be able to come to Kazakhstan? Is it like?
It's slowly opening the borders now. I see.
Yeah.
Like already border open toward Istanbul, Georgia,
Yeah.
Russia, and but I think it's November.
November, right? Yeah.
Korea as well.
Korea is open. Yes, Korea is open too. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
was
you.
it.
Thank you.
Those were
Yeah.
all the
Do you have any
questions.
question?
Comment down below.
Comment down below, and yes, come here, guys.
We'll do the second episode if you have questions. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.